All right. I'd like to introduce you to Matt Williams, new pitch coach, South Carolina. Coach, if you can make an opening statement, and then we will open up to questions.
First off, thank you guys for being here. Looking forward to this opportunity. Obviously, it's a place that's dear to me because I grew up in the state. My wife went to school here, and just really appreciate the opportunity Coach Kingston has given me to come back here and coach the pitchers. So really looking forward to that.
All right. If you have a question, please raise your hand and raise hand function, and I'll call on you. And Colin Taylor with the first one.
Hey, Matt, Colin Taylor from Gamecock Central on 3. Hope you're doing well. You kind of mentioned it, but with this being kind of your home state and all that stuff, how has this opportunity set in for you yet? And what's the level of just excitement and gratitude like as you sit here right now?
I mean, I don't think it's really truly set in yet. It probably won't set in until we get a house here and my wife gets down here with my kid. But it's tremendous opportunity. I mean, it's very humbling to come back and work in your home state and get that opportunity as a pitching coach and do what you love doing.
I'll go next to John Whittle.
What do you know about the staff at South Carolina from as far as guys that you have returning?
Well, still trying to learn there a lot about these guys. I mean, I know there's some interesting pieces. I think the draft will determine, I mean, what the staff will look like. There's a couple guys that have the opportunity to possibly sign. Hopefully we can get some of those guys back. And if we do, I mean, I think it's got a chance to be a really good staff. I mean, right now we're also trying to work in the portal and find some pieces that may fit and kind of go from there.
All right. Next we go to Michael Anana.
Hey, Matt, Michael Anana with the State newspaper. You just mentioned the transfer portal there, and I know you spent a good chunk of time at Spartanburg Methodist and the junior college ranks, and I'm just kind of curious with the transfer portal and the way it is now, do those connections and that time spent, working on that level, does that help with identifying maybe some of these guys that could make the jump to the next level? And, how does that kind of play into building a staff and working the transfer portal?
Yeah, Mike, I mean, I think that's a good question. I mean, junior college days, I mean, I had to learn a lot of what to get, and that goes right back into the portal. The portal and junior colleges are kind of similar. Obviously, a lot of times with the portal, those are more Division I guys or guys with NCAA experience that I've dealt with there. But it's definitely similar, and you're definitely trying to put together a staff and just piece it together and find what you like. I mean, I think that's the thing with the portal you can do. If you find the right guy that you think you can plug in for a year, then you do that, and he maybe fits into your bullpen, and he's a big time piece.
Next we'll go to Alan Cole.
Hey, Alan Cole, GamecockScoop.com. Hope you're doing well. You just mentioned some things you like and being able to kind of learn about things. How would you describe yourself as a pitching coach, and what's kind of your philosophy in terms of what you do like in terms of the pitchers you coach?
I think the biggest thing for me is the relationship to start with. I mean, if I don't have a good relationship with the guys, then it's not going to go very well. So I think that's the number one thing that I'm gonna try to. That's gonna be at the forefront for me, relationships, and then from there, like, it's really getting to know the guy, the individual, and how they learn. Like some guys learn in the weight room, some guys learn with us just talking mechanics, some guys can learn in the bullpen, some guys can learn with metrics. So I mean, it's really just a different deal getting to know each individual guy.
I saw Rick Henry's hand up. Rick, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Kent. Hello, Coach. Rick Henry, WIS TV here in Columbia. I was just wondering, what is your plan or the formula you use when you're putting together a staff, and are you going to tweak it or make some changes now that you're coaching in the SEC?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that's kind of a year-to-year thing, to be honest with you. You find out what pieces you got going through the fall, and I mean, some years you may have guys that are starters that get you deeper in games, and you don't have to use the bullpen quite as much. Sometimes you have guys that maybe you have to piece the game together, and I think that really will be determined with us going through the fall and finding out what pieces are there.
Back John Whittle.
What is your schedule looking like coming forward? Obviously, it's a big recruiting time, but you got to move into Columbia and recruit the guys that are already on the roster? If you mapped out kind of the plan in the upcoming days and weeks?
John, we'll go a couple of different places. I mean, I got a great wife, and she'll be doing a lot of the moving and packing, so that I'm very fortunate there. She's working with realtors now to find a place here. But as far as recruiting, we're hitting the ground running there. We'll be out in Atlanta, down in Hoover. Obviously, we'll do some portal stuff, so that'll kind of take us all over the place with the summer ball stuff. But just really trying to identify right now some of it on the computer while I'm here in town, and then once I'm out of town, I mean, it'll kind of be all over the place.
So,
But really looking forward to seeing those guys that are committed to us at some point too. Those 24s, especially, that are committed to us, kind of get a feel for them and what they look like.
all right. Go back to Colin Taylor.
Yeah, man. Obviously, you're in Columbia right now, and you have a couple of young pieces on the staff that pitched a ton of innings for this program. How have conversations gone with some of those guys and the guys you have been able to get over the course of the last few hours, few days?
They've been good, man. Like I mean, we've been around the stadium. I got to meet some of them in the weight room. They've been working out with Billy, the strength coach. He's doing a great job in there with those guys. Just seeing the energy that they got in there is great. I sat out with a couple of them in the office, had some conversations, and it started with the relationship. I mean, I think I spent about 25, 30 minutes with Eli yesterday, and I really liked the conversation with him. I mean, he's a kid that's very driven, it sounds like, and I'm looking forward to working with him.
Go to Michael and Nana.
When it comes to working with pitchers, do you have any sort of specific maybe rules or things you kind of live by, or bread and butter that you really try to pitch to guys, like, hey, we really need to attack, we really need to establish the fastball, things along those nature, or just how do you, I guess, what are some of your main principles that you kind of maybe harp on with guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing is attacking the plate. I mean, like, especially in this league, man, if your stuff doesn't play over the plate, then it's going to be tough for you here. But like, I want to make sure we're attacking the plate. We're being aggressive. Our approach is going to be aggressive. If your stuff's not playing, then we either got to look at, hey, making some changes, some adjustments, but like just finding the right stuff to play over the plate's going to be the big thing for me.
All right. Colin?
Kind of talked about the portal a little bit, and what's your philosophy in terms of attacking that, whether it's getting guys with good stuff that maybe haven't had a ton of play at their previous school, or older guys pitched a ton of innings? How do you kind of approach who to take, who to recruit, and just kind of the philosophy there?
Well, it's looking at things. Maybe there's some characteristics on a certain pitch that may fit in our bullpen. Maybe their fastball's got some outlier characteristics, and or their breaking pitch is really good, and we can see them in a role. It's just kind of us watching them and seeing what the metrics say, and envisioning something down the road, and just making a decision on them. And also, I think the big thing is just getting to know the kids, like having conversations with them. The more conversations you have with them, the more you get to know them. Are they the right fit?
Next to Mike Gillespie.
Hey, Matt, Mike Gillespie at ABC Columbia. Welcome to Columbia. So can you take us through some of the conversations that you had with Mark, and kind of when you knew that this was sort of the right fit for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I had conversations a couple years ago, and then the other day, I guess it was Sunday night, I mean, the conversation started after Justin took the job. Coach Kingston had reached out to Coach Jackson, and they spoke, and then Coach Kingston reached out to me, and we had a conversation. And I mean, it didn't take very long, honestly. I mean, my wife, like I said, we grew up in the state, and at the end of the day, I mean, I think coming back home was something we really wanted, and the opportunity here is a very good one.
Next to Alan Cole.
You mentioned a lot of conversations with Mark there. Have you had a chance to talk to the rest of the coaching staff yet, especially a guy like Monty Lee, who, like you, has a lot of time in the state, a lot of baseball in South Carolina? Have you had a chance to talk with him yet?
Yeah, we've talked a bunch on the phone. I mean, we've obviously him recruiting out on the road right now and just keeping me abreast of what's going on out there. We're in conversation. I mean, we're probably talking about 8 times a day right now. So yeah, we've talked a lot. I mean, our relationship goes way back. I mean, he coached me in junior college. at Spartanburg Methodist when I was actually a player. So our relationships, I mean, probably 18, 20 years here now. So he's a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to work with him, and looking forward to that.
Rick Henry?
Coach, if you were talking to someone who didn't know anything about the University of South Carolina baseball, what would you tell them about the culture, the tradition, and also the passion of the fans for this program?
I think it's a place that's very rich in tradition. I think it's a fan base that expects you to come in here and win. And you're going to have everything you need to succeed here. It's a great university. Really looking, I mean, at the facilities. I mean, I was actually over at the football facility today, and like you walk around this place and it's just a really nice setup.
Colin?
Hope that answered your question there.
It did. Thank you.
You've been a part of a bunch of really good staffs at the mid-major levels at UNCW and then obviously Liberty. What have you learned putting together staffs at that level that you feel like can really help you as you're making the jump up to SEC baseball and trying to build a staff that can compete for College World Series appearances and titles?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think it goes into recruiting. I mean, making sure you're recruiting the right kids that fit your program. And then, like I said earlier, like once you get here, just establishing that relationship and growing that culture inside. I mean, not only with team, but like with inside the pitching staff, growing that culture to have success and just the winner mindset. I think it has been the big thing for me.
John?
What do you remember back from the Columbia Regional few years back when you were at UNC Wilmington? What are the first thoughts that come to your mind from that long weekend?
The first thing that comes to my mind is my wife. She was a little disappointed with the fan base. She had always been on this side where fans were hollering at the other coach or something like that. Well, all of a sudden they were hollering at me, and she wasn't a big fan of that. She was actually my fiance at that time, and I told her, I said, hey baby, if we're gonna get married, then you need to know that you have to get some thicker skin, because I want to be in moments like this at some point, hopefully on the other side though. So that's the biggest thing that comes to mind.
Michael?
Matt, you mentioned metrics a couple times, and I know there's a ton of stuff out there with TrackMan and spin rate and all that kind of stuff. Just curious, like when did you kind of start incorporating that into the things that you do, and how big of a piece is that in what you do as a pitching coach?
Yeah, I think it's a big piece, but like you got to be careful, especially with these young guys, man. They show up each day and sometimes they move a little bit differently. And when you move a little bit differently, you can throw the metrics off. But for me, I think the first kind of introduction to the metrics side of things was on the pro side when I was with the Padres. I was actually a pitching coach in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a while with them, and I was able to learn that side of things. And honestly, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me being on that side, and then coming back to the college game, because I really think that helped me kind of from a learning curve, kind of speed things up.
Colin?
Matt, you mentioned the winning culture a couple times, and culture, and you're part of a bunch of 40-win teams that make regional finals. What goes into building that, and what do you consider to be kind of that winning quote unquote culture?
Just, I mean, it all goes back to recruiting the right kids that have won. I mean, like when you recruit kids, you want guys that come from winning programs. And when they come from winning programs, I think it makes it easy. They come in and they expect to win. And when you expect to win, a lot of times you show up expecting to win, good things are going to happen.
Alan?
You just mentioned working in minor league baseball, kind of speeding yourself up a little bit, changing things. Just wondering if you could elaborate on that a little bit more. Maybe how are you different after minor league baseball versus when you were in college before that stop in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I thought there was one way to do things before I got on that side, and then all of a sudden, when I got on that side, I had the youngest staff in the league in Fort Wayne, and I had guys that were from different countries. And I don't speak Spanish, and I had to learn to communicate with those guys. And I think it showed me that you can do this game a lot of different ways, and guys do it different ways. And I think learning that on that side really helped me coming back to the college game. and being able to apply that.
Any other questions for Matt? All right, we'll let him go then. I appreciate the time.
I appreciate you guys today.
Thanks,
All right.
Matt.
Awesome.
Look forward
Thanks,
to
Matt.
having you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, coach.